Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Volvo XC60 I car. The Volvo XC60 is one of the most frequently purchased SUVs alongside the BMW X6. If you haven't had enough cash to drive such a car from a dealership yet, you can now buy it used. How does the unusual Swedish SUV perform 5 years after its premiere? In 2013, the XC60 underwent a thorough modernization quite recently. The front of the car received redesigned headlights, a modified radiator grille and bumper. There were also new side mirrors with LED indicators. At the back of the car, the changes are cosmetic and limited to a new decorative strip above the license plate and more futuristic exhaust tips. The car is still manufactured in Belgium, and its successor is not expected to appear anytime soon. Most of the cars available on the used car market have diesel engines under the hood. What is worth knowing about them? First of all, only the 185 horsepower version guarantees acceptable dynamics. The weaker versions cannot be considered sluggish, but they are not overly lively either. Fuel consumption? It is really impressive. The basic versions in city traffic can be satisfied with just 8.5 L 100 kilometers. The most powerful ones in the same cycle use from 9.5 to 11.5 L/100 kilometers. How is the reliability of diesel engines? Swedish diesels are solid structures, but even here it is impossible to avoid failures. The injection system breaks down most often, and there are also cases of turbocharger damage. The high-pressure hoses are also not very durable. Before buying, it is also worth checking the condition of the particulate filter. If it is full, you will have to spend a lot. Note: there have been several cases of the need to replace the engine with a new one. Petrol engines are much more durable than diesels, but that's no wonder these days. Which one to choose? It all depends on how much money you have. The performance of even the 203 horsepower version is fully satisfactory. The car accelerates to the first 100 in 8.9 seconds. The most powerful 304 horsepower version does it in just 7 seconds. What about fuel consumption? From about 9 L 100 kilometers to 21 L 100 kilometers, depending on the variant. When buying, however, you have to reckon with the fact that R6 engines sometimes have problems with the timing chain, and R4 units may have problems with the turbocharger. In addition, the 2-liter petrol versions are equipped with direct fuel injection, so there is a risk that carbon deposits may settle on the valves. The Swedish SUV's front suspension uses McPherson struts, while the rear is equipped with an independent wishbone system. You can also find versions with adjustable hardness suspension on the market. As befits Volvo's designs, the XC60 received 5 stars in the Euro NCAP crash tests. Typical faults: the defect is revealed mainly in greater frosts and when driving on potholed roads. Authorized service is also unable to eliminate this condition. Complain customers who bought the Swedish SUV in the showroom. The quality of the upholstery is also not without its flaws. The leather tends to rub, and over time even microcracks appear. In turn, the body paint is susceptible to scratches, but the anti-corrosion protection is at a very high level. It is hardly surprising the Swedes have vast experience in this matter. During use, other irritating shortcomings come to light. A slamming boot lid, damage to its actuators, a leaking roof in the area of the navigation antenna are the most common problems. There are also failures of safety systems. As you can see, an excessive number of electronic aids also have their weak points. What else is wrong with the Volvo XC60? Even in relatively young models, brake pads can make noise, and in cars with more powerful engines and manual transmissions, the clutch wears out prematurely. In the interests of its customers, Volvo has carried out several service campaigns, which included replacing, among others, the V-belt tensioner pulley and the wiring harnesses under the driver and passenger seats. The possibility of a headlight washer pump failure with a fluid level sensor, as a result of which the reservoir could be emptied inadvertently, has also been eliminated. As you can see, the Volvo XC60 is not a particularly unreliable car, and serious failures are rather rare. Secondly, rich equipment, and a whole host of electronic systems improving safety. And finally, fourthly, spacious interior and very interesting styling. High ride comfort and low failure frequency also deserve praise. The car, like any other, has its flaws. One can complain primarily about minor shortcomings that should not happen to a premium class car. The suspension selects holes very well, but it is tuned in such a way that the car tilts when cornering. When choosing the XC60, one must also reckon with high servicing costs, especially in the case of units with diesel engines. Another problem is finding a well-maintained model. The market is full of cars after accidents or diesels with huge mileage. The safest is to decide on a model bought and serviced in Europe, but even that does not provide a 100% guarantee. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.